thank you for not including the ambulatory surgical center tax in this year's budget.
You're welcome.
We appreciate not having to take that out. I'm going to follow up with for my colleague from Tioga County on some of the supplementals, and also want to make a statement, see if on both the $64 million for medical assistant capitation and $172 million for medical assistant community health choices. We did hold those back in the spring budget, but my understanding is the administration agreed to that.
That may be true.
Okay, because you mentioned the legislature didn't give you the money, but it was the administration that was also said that to hold that back. So the medical assistance community health choices, $2.343 billion was your requesting supplemental of $208 million more, about 9%. I mean, I'm assuming the answer to all these services to persons with disabilities, intellectual disabilities, intermediate care facilities, is all that you had more people coming. It's an entitlement. Though on page 199 of the budget book for community health choices for 2020 and 21, you don't have a change you have zero growth in the number of members. So are you assuming that in 2021 we're not going to have more people come into the program?
I mean, that's what, this is what we're basing it on here. I think some of the cost increase are based on the type of people that we have coming in. There's some that are low cost and some that are very high cost. So that is some of the increase that you're looking at there, actuarially looking at that.
So a bigger picture, this may not be sustainable, and if where is the end, or we have in all these categories, we had overspending or we had supplemental requests. I understand how we got there. Are there any offsetted savings anywhere? We're experiencing a really healthy economy in Pennsylvania, which would make you think that people need less social services, and my concern is that we're going to keep going back to the same people asking them to pay for this. That's the taxpayers in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And they have the ability to leave Pennsylvania. And in fact, a lot of them are leaving Pennsylvania as we are getting an older population. We're losing our young people. And I'm just wondering if there is thoughts of, how these are all important programs, but are there any offset savings? Are there ways that we can make this sustainable? Because $500 million a year or $1 billion a year in supplementals is not. And as my colleague said, we're going to have to make choices, and we'd rather know now. Yes, we expect we're going to have to spend more next year, so we're going to have to take it from somewhere else. So.
I really appreciate that question, because I think you're absolutely right. As we are doing our work and making decisions and looking for ways to contain costs, which we are always doing, there are two entities that I always think about. First are the people we serve, and that is first and foremost in our mind. But second is always the taxpayers. And I think we need to always be doing our job in a way that we're thinking about how do we best serve the people that need our services, but how do we do it in a way that is right for taxpayers. So let me just tell you about some of the things that we've got going in terms of efficiency adjustments and just ways we're containing costs, because I think it's an important point. First of all, I think it's important to note that when you look at the true costs of our program and how much they're growing, when you take everything else out, the true costs of our programs are growing by 2.6%, essentially the rate of inflation. But again, looking at some of the cost containment efforts, one of the biggest ways we contain costs, and if you look at our physical health choices, our physical health choices program, that is an area where we have actually had an annual growth rate of 2.6% for the last 5 years, whereas medical costs have gone up by 4.4%. So I think we've been able to contain costs. One of the major ways we do that is through what we call targeted efficiency adjustments. So we go in every year when we're setting rates and we look for inefficient care, things like inappropriate C-sections or admissions that should not have happened. And we take that money out of the system. So over the last 5 years, because of these efficiency adjustments, we have actually removed $1 billion from our program. One of the things we're doing now to try to figure out how we can continue to contain costs is we're actually, those are what we've done in our physical health choices program, because that's our more mature program. What we're doing now is trying to mirror those efficiency adjustments that we have that are in our mature physical health program within our behavioral health and our CHC programs, which are a little less mature. So we're trying to figure out how we can expand those efficiency adjustments because they've made a big impact in containing costs. We're also doing things like moving away from a fee-for-service system, trying to move more towards a value-based system. We shouldn't be just paying more for more care. We should be making sure we're getting outcomes and we're paying for the right care at the right time. So we have been increasing the percentages that each of our managed care organizations have to meet in terms of moving away from fee-for-service towards value-based payments. So I think that's another way we're trying to contain costs. We're also just always thinking about ways we can contain costs. Some of the questions I'll probably field today will be around some of those ways we're trying to contain costs, but for example, we had a unified preferred drug list that we implemented at the beginning of this year. That was a cost containment measure. That saves us $85 million annually. So that's one of those things. We've gotten some pushback from folks on that, but I think it's the best thing for the consumers we serve, and it's the right thing for taxpayers. So we are always looking for ways to contain costs. We always have to remember, too, though, that at the other end of those cost containment efforts are entities that don't always like our cost containment efforts. So we do tend to get a lot of pushback, and frankly, I'm sitting here telling you, I don't mind that pushback because it's the right thing to do for the people we serve and our taxpayers, and we're going to continue to do that. And I'll probably be answering some questions today about some of those efforts, and I'm happy to do so.
Thank you. I appreciate it.